Hey everyone, Siri here, and welcome back to another week of Astra Season Offense matches. Tiki and Byleth did some season hopping to take advantage of their second bonus week. Tiki is a great tank. Combining a damage reduction with an in-combat pulse smoke makes it hard to take her down before she counterattacks, while Soul and Finish give her an incredible amount of self-healing. Her team got shuffled around a bit. Formidable took Ninyan's place as a support, giving Tiki some extra true damage, and more soul-powered healing, for her first hit. Having Thor on the team gives her access to a breath effect in case she needs to beat guard, while Elamine offers an extra layer of damage reduction, while also disabling key threats on the enemy team. Byleth's team stayed pretty much intact across the seasons. She's an excellent ranged tank, using her speed-based vantage and the damage reduction from Divine Pulse to shut down just about anything that isn't using Hardy Bearing. Idunn's a good partner for her, especially when using a speed-focused build that can take full advantage of Byleth's hold. Being a speedy dragon is a rare save archetype, which also lets her handle teams that are built with slower physical tanks in mind. The mythic support is mostly the same for both teams, though Naga actively avoids soaking Bright Shrines for Byleth. The three sabotages do a lot of work to help both teams stat check their opponents, and having Naga and Elamine provide a full spectrum of visible buffs is really convenient for team building. Now that we've gone over the teams, let's get to the first match. This match was a neat one to run into. That's a Catria ball, which has some consistency issues in Astra weeks thanks to Elamine, but they did build their Catria with that in mind, using Fortress Def Res and Phantom Res, along with the passive bonus she gets from Mirabilis, to make her a lot harder for a basic Elamine to false start. They also have some very solid threats on their team, including this maxed out Young Yins with Tempo, and a plus 10 legendary Lilina. The Valentine's Robin and Arden are a great pair of bodyguards for the team, keeping them safe from a lot of hit-and-run approaches, and Robin in particular makes this team a lot bulkier than you might expect at first, thanks to the in-combat penalties and bonus healing per hit that she gives to her allies. I decide to get things going right away here. Elamine doesn't have too many problems false starting Catria here, thanks to using Phantom Res herself, which means we can just move forward to start baiting the team out. Rally comes through, and then Mirabilis actually ends up attacking first, which was a bit surprising, but all it really means is that the rest of her team can't actually get any damage to stick to Tiki. So it just means they go down the health chain instead of attacking in any other order. Lilina does get to do some damage pre-combat, and some damage in combat, but the total isn't enough to actually stop Tiki from just healing herself right back to full health. And while Inns could have been spooky if we'd kept the triangle attack online, without it he doesn't get to fire that Luna, and, well, he's not really going to get much done here. Arden's the last one who can reach us this turn, and even with a color advantage, he's not having a good time of this fight. This turn ended up being a bit tricky to plan out, and I ended up deciding that the best option is just to stay exactly where we are. While it does expose Tiki to some triangle attacks, since we aren't false starting Catria this turn, Robin can't actually do any damage to Tiki, which is going to force her to rally instead of attacking. And once she's rallied, we don't have to worry about ending the match this turn, and Tiki can also take down both Catria and Odor.
Out of the way.
And with those two out of the picture, the map is a lot easier to navigate while we go hunting for some ether pots before we finish things off. It takes a couple of turns since we were working in the opposite corner, but without her team, Robin can only move one space at a time, and it's not too hard to end up getting there. From here, Elamine can just secure the Aether pots. Or one of them before Formidable claims a second, and Tiki moves in to close out the match. This match was an interesting one. It's been a while since I've seen a triple dancer setup. Together with the Rally Trap Leaf on the backline and the Geodogger for Pathfinder on the front, it means this team can reach a lot of areas on the map that you don't necessarily want them to get to. And with the Fortress, Lava Tile, and 2 bolt traps in the front, it does a good job of limiting the areas you have to work with. I actually had some trouble figuring out a good approach for this, since the bolt traps are a bit annoying, and I end up just deciding to pop them with Byleth. Attempting to reposition Elamine forward here actually has the same effect no matter which bolt trap is real, since if Byleth triggers it, then Elamine can just return her forwards, and if Elamine's the one who triggers it, she can do the same thing anyway. It's easy enough for us to get into position from there. The Panic Manor doesn't actually affect Byleth at all, thanks to Unity. And while Idunn does end up taking a Brutal Shell from Oder here, Savvy Fighter means that he doesn't get to follow that up, and she can just finish him off with the counterattacks. Cirrus can get some damage done too, but those are the only 2 melee threats on their team. And while Idunn does drop below 50%, she doesn't have to worry about tanking anything else. From here, Byleth just starts carving her way through the health chain. One-shotting Leaf was a bit unfortunate actually here. It would have been neat to see her use Divine Pulse to shut down Leaf's damage reduction piercing weapon. But securing one-shots is a good thing. Dogger's the next one to go down, and that just leaves the 2 ranged dancers on their team. Sigurd's weapon's offline, thanks to our little trick with the bolt traps from earlier, which means it doesn't actually take 2 hits to knock him out. And Plumeri is the last one to go down.
With the goddess.
From there, it's just a matter of reaching these Aether pots before we close things out, and thanks to some ranged flyers, that's not very hard to do. Byleth and Elamine can move in and pick both of them up, and then we just smite Idunn forwards to take down Mirabilis and close out the match. This match was a fun one to close out the week with. They've got a very impressive Brave Eirika on their front line as a melee threat, and a maxed out Farsave Brave Edelgard on their backline to keep their team safe from any ranged attackers. The Ymir does a great job of making this entire setup a lot more annoying to deal with thanks to the miracle effect she gives her allies when they have high health, which is especially good for someone like Lysithea or Eirika, to make sure they actually get a chance to use those second attacks. There's also a very neat trap with Suros and Azura over on the left side. Since Suros tends to move forward to break the crumbling wall, and then get danced by Azura, which can give her access to parts of your team that you haven't necessarily protected or kept out of the way. I decide to get things going right away here, just moving Byleth forward to intercept, and making sure that Idunn covers everybody from a potential Suros engagement. And while Lysithea doesn't actually get one-shotted here, thanks to Ymir, she still gets doubled by Byleth, and the Moonbow is not going to cut through that 75% reduction.
You go no further.
So she just ends up getting knocked out on the second hit. Eirika moves in next, and actually just gets naturally outsped by Idunn here, which is a lot of fun to see.
I want to help.
It wouldn't really have mattered too much since she did get one-shotted, since she's out of range of Ymir for that miracle effect. And the dances come through and let Ymir go in on Idunn next. It can actually do a pretty impressive amount of physical damage and gets a lot of that to stick, but it's not enough to threaten Idunn too much. And miracle or no, Idunn outspeeds her pretty handily and can finish her off with a second attack. Cirrus moves in next, and well, that dragon slaying's doing a lot of work for Idunn here.
No longer alone.
The rest of the team doesn't catch us. While starting, Edelgard actually means that she doesn't get to move very far at all this turn and keeps her pretty far back and out of the way, while we start working our way up towards these Aether pots.
I'm going now. Yes.
Moving Byleth forward just one space means that we don't have to worry about Edelgard, but we do get to knock out both of their dancers this turn. Mirabilis moves in first. She's not ever going to do damage to Idunn.
To protect the world.
And Azura doesn't outspeed Byleth, so it's easy enough for her to sweep that out.
Have faith.
Edelgard does get to move her normal movement range this turn since we were in false starting her, but at this point it's easy enough for us to move in and pick up the Aether pots before closing out the match.
I will go. Close your eyes.
I was tempted to actually use Byleth to close this out, but she comes just short of finishing Edelgard off in one round of combat here. I think it was about 4 hit points remaining.
To protect the world.
So we just let Idunn close it out instead. It's not very hard for her thanks to armor slaying, and that's all there is. It was another fun week of matches. It's good to see Byleth and Tiki doing so well, and I'm looking forward to using them in the weeks to come. As a heads up, there might be some interruptions to the AR videos over the next couple of weeks while I'm streaming Sparks of Hope and Bayonetta. I'm hoping to avoid that, but I wanted to let you all know ahead of time. I do have a Discord channel if you'd like to hang out and chat. There's a link in the description, and I've also got a Patreon link there if you'd like to help support the channel. As always, I hope you've enjoyed the video, good luck with your own matches, and I'll see you next time.